Welcome back. It is October. This is Horror Month. I'm Dave Decay.
I'm Spookerella.
And I, once again, am Professor So-and-so. So?
Okay, so we are coming off of what I think was one of James Whale's best films, and that was The Invisible Man. Now, what could he possibly do to top that incredible film? Well, what he did here was make Universal's monster masterpiece, Bride of Frankenstein.
Which appeared in 1935, 4 years after Frankenstein.
And how many years after The Invisible Man?
2. I think it was 2. 2?
Yes, it was only 2 years.
Dave Decay's having beard problems. Can we get the beard wrangler on set? Beard wrangler?
A tarantula!
What the hell?
Bride of the Beard Wrangler.
Okay, I think I'm ready now. What was I saying?
What's the matter with you?
So yeah, it was 2 years, which is pretty long, considering the other movies were kind of like one after another, and a few were even the same year.
So they decided to wait a little bit.
They maybe could have spaced it out better.
So what I found interesting about The Invisible Man was that James Whale doesn't like making sequels, so he didn't really want to make this movie, and that's why he made The Invisible Man instead of a sequel to Frankenstein. So I'm not exactly sure how they got him back together. That's pretty funny. I'm okay. I cracked myself up.
I see the humor. I see what you did there. Very intelligent.
Did you like that, Spookerella? Did you like that?
It was okay.
Anyway, so they got James Whale back on board here for the sequel to Frankenstein, and of course it's Bride of Frankenstein. Now, the beginning of this movie is really interesting and very cool, what he does, because he basically shows how Mary Shelley wrote the original Frankenstein in a not so much realistic way, but kind of how it happened in real life.
It was real, but not real?
Exactly. It was more human than a human.
Actually, this movie incorporates a lot more humor than the original one did.
Yeah, and it actually has... Well, my light seemed to get brighter over here. I don't know what just happened.
That was the electricity for the bride.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That light is really bright now. It's like it's going to explode or something.
That'll be cool.
Okay, so lighting problems aside here. This really was, like I said, in my opinion, probably the best Universal film monster movie ever made.
It was the Empire Strikes Back of Universal horror films.
That's exactly the way it was.
Yep.
And what's really cool, and I think a lot of people don't even realize this is actually a direct sequel to Frankenstein. So it starts right when Frankenstein leaves off with the burning windmill. And then you find out that Frankenstein, the monster Frankenstein, or the creature, is not dead. That he actually just fell down into like a sewer or a opening underneath the windmill.
And then he messes folks up. And Una O'Connor screams a lot.
Oh yeah, we can't review this movie without talking about her. That was pretty much it.
They brought her character in from The Invisible Man.
Yeah, and apparently James Whale thought she was very funny. I don't think anyone else really thought she was very funny. I think most people thought she was kind of annoying, but here she is again, doing the same thing, screaming at the top of her lungs. That could literally shatter, like, I don't know, 15 plates of glass.
Actually, I did enjoy her character more in this one, and doing what she did in this one than she did in The Invisible Man.
Yeah, and I think her role was a little bit bigger in this one as well. She was in it quite a lot.
It went with a lot of the humor that was in the movie. It's what brought a lot of humor to the film. by putting her in this little bigger role.
And I guess if she wasn't in this film, it would have been way too dark, so they had to lighten it up at least slightly with her kind of weird screaming humor. Like nobody has anything to say? Come on now.
That was funny.
Squirrel.
I got nothing.
I enjoyed this film quite a bit. I thought it was every bit as good as the original classic Frankenstein. It was actually, being the direct sequel that it was fantastic. I mean, it was literally a continuation of the story.
Well, I think it blew the original Frankenstein out of the water. I think it was an incredible film with amazing performances. I really love Dr. Frankenstein. I think Colin Clive, is that his name?
Colin Clive.
It's Colin Clive. He was really good in this. He's a really great actor, and it's unfortunate what happened to him later in life. He became an alcoholic, and it killed him. But, you know, when he was in these films, he was at the top of his game, and he was great in this film. And the one thing I've got to mention again was I did read the original Frankenstein novel.
Oh, here we go.
And in the original
I read the book.
In the original Frankenstein novel, he actually does have the bride in there. Now, a little bit of spoilers here for who hasn't read the book. Dr. So-and-so. That'd be you, Dr. So-and-so.
No, I have not read the book in a long time, like never.
So in the book, the monster talks a lot, and it always kind of bothered me in this movie that he did talk. I don't know why. I just thought it was kind of, he should have been silent again. But after reading the book and watching this movie, it really had much more of an impact, for me anyway, when the creature was actually communicating and he was intelligent. You can see that he was learning and he was becoming more of a human in this film. And I love the makeup effect too. I gotta say that they changed it just slightly enough to where it looks even creepier, I think, in this film than in the first one.
Yes, being that he almost was burnt to a crisp, standing on top of the windmill, and the windmill collapsing and all of that. With all of that happening, you would think, yes, it would change him at least somewhat.
Yeah, and I think they did one of his hands looked like it was melted, and they did, like I said, they did very slightly did things to his head. I think they burned his hair back a little bit farther, but he looked awesome. The effects, the makeup effects for Frankenstein were probably in this movie the best, I think, in any film.
Why, yes, they were very, very good. Also, when you were talking about his speaking in this, one thing that Boris Karloff himself was adamant about was that he wanted to have the creature speak. He wanted to have Frankenstein's monster speak because he got to talk in The Mummy, and he felt like he needed more acting roles where he could actually talk instead of just doing body language.
Yeah, and I think it helped the monster greatly in this film because I really, watching this again, even though I've seen this 100 times, but watching it, it really just kind of had a really big impact before me. I don't know why it did, but I think it was, like I said, again, going back to the books.
It's probably because you read the book.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It is the fact that he was going to make the Bride of Frankenstein in the book. And sort of like the movie, what the creature did was told Dr. Frankenstein, basically, he said, if you don't make me a mate, then I'm going to show up on your wedding date and I'm going to kill everybody that you know. I'm going to kill your wife, I'm going to kill all of her family, I'm going to kill your entire family, I'm going to kill everybody if you don't make me a mate. And so, kind of like that's happened in this, he ended up kidnapping his wife to force him to create the Bride of Frankenstein.
Now, I have to talk about another special guy in this film, Dr. Petrovius?
I thought it was Dr. Platypus.
Dr. Pretorius?
I'm pretty sure it was Platypus.
Uh-huh.
What was his name? It doesn't matter.
So?
What? So
One scene I found very odd in this film was the part where the doctor brought in the small people, where he had the small people. I thought it was very entertaining, but also very odd.
Yeah, until I actually kind of listened to the dialogue, you do realize that he grew these creatures. I was like, I always thought, well, why did he create such small people, and how did he get a little brain in there, and but he actually did grow them, sort of like pod people.
I kind of found it interesting because it kind of lends itself to maybe even the invasion of the body snatchers.
Yeah, and I think that's why he really kind of wanted Dr. Frankenstein, because even though he created life, it wasn't actually real. It wasn't like, a living creature created from different body parts, and that's basically, he wanted the knowledge of Dr. Frankenstein, and he couldn't do it on his own because he wasn't smart enough, so that's why the creature kidnaps his wife, and that's why he creates the Bride of Frankenstein.
So, Dr. Frankenstein created, like, a full-size Snickers, and Pretorius was only able to make, like, the snack size, the little bites.
Yeah, pretty much. That kind of sums it up right there.
Yes, and I always found it odd just because that's like the only place in the entire movie that you actually see these little people. There's nothing about them later on throughout the entire film. You don't see anything about that. It's just about him getting Dr. Frankenstein to repeat what he's done, but make it a woman this time.
It would be like Jurassic Park, but like they brought in the raptors and everybody went, "Ooh, raptors!" And then they just never talked about them again or showed them ever again.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And I think a lot of people, they've seen the film and they just kind of skip over, their brain kind of, shuts off. He was actually creating this mate for Frankenstein, and he didn't want to do it. I mean, he was against it, he didn't want to do it. And then when Frankenstein, the creature, finally sees the mate, and she thinks he's as hideous as the humans do, he kind of freaks out and realizes that, Dr. Frankenstein was correct the whole time. And that's why he let him go and killed Dr. Platypus.
We belong dead.
Exactly. He comes to a realization that it should have never happened in the first place, and now he kind of forced his hand to do it, and then he realized it was wrong, and he should have never done it in the first place, and it was a really powerful sequence.
And as I've said with these other reviews of these films, I've not watched these movies in quite some time. It's been a long time since I saw The Bride of Frankenstein. And I actually forgot that she was only in the movie in the last part of the film.
Yeah, they only show her just a few minutes and then that's it. But if I could refer to the book again, Spookerella.
Oh, God.
So go there.
If you read the book, which I did read the book.
Uh-huh.
Buy the book.
He actually does create the bride in the book. And when he was almost done with her, he was just about to complete her, he started thinking to himself, well, what if the monster and her had kids? Because, in the book, sort of like in the movie, the creature was super strong. He was like very powerful. And he thought, well, if they actually had kids, they might actually create another superhuman being and then try to take over the world, and they would kill all the other people. And so he ripped the whole entire body apart, and he never actually made the bride in the book.
Oh, so
what happened then was, referring back to the book,
Okay, so what are we gonna give The Bride of Frankenstein?
so overall, this is James Whale's masterpiece. And if you ever watch it again, seriously, just kind of turn the lights off, sit there, and listen to what they are telling you in this film. It's incredible. So for me, this gets, obviously, the Golden Tombstone.
And I would say that this was a masterpiece of a film as well. I enjoyed it immensely. I hadn't seen it in a long, long time, but watching it here on this Blu-ray, it was fantastic to watch it in its entirety. Which is also something that when I was younger, I always watched on television. And watching it on television takes you out of the film with all the commercials and the ads and things like that. So watching it all together, all in one masterpiece, was fantastic. And I enjoyed it every bit as much as I enjoyed the first Frankenstein film, and would also give it the Golden Tombstone.
And what about you, Spookerell? Did you read the book?
I did.
And what are you going to give this movie?
Golden Tombstone.
Okay, so there you go. There is the...
So?
What?
So?
So there you go. There is the Bride of Frankenstein. Now, what film was this? How far are we into this now?
This is only the 5th movie in this 30-movie set.
So 5 movies in, they got the masterpiece, and they did it correctly. It's amazing.
Hey, Dave Decay.
What is it?
I don't know how we're gonna review 30 movies. I don't know if I got that much to say, bud.
Well, we're gonna get you to say something.
Oh no.
Stay with us. Stay with us, Spookerella.
I might need a transfusion.
All right. So what is coming up tonight, Spookerella?
Werewolf of London?
No, we are live streaming 31 straight days horror games. So
Right.
if
Like
you want
said.
to tune in tonight, we are continuing whatever game that they're playing. I don't even know what they're doing anymore. So don't miss out on that, because we are doing it every single day this month, live.
That's right.
It's worth a subscription. It's worth a subscription.
Rate, review, subscribe. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. Smash it. Smash it.
And you know what else? Stay spooky.